Yeah,
Then what are you
he
debating?
did it.
So what are you arguing about?
You're talking about, when you bring up the Hunter Biden laptop story, what you're talking about is the Burisma corruption scandal. The accusation that Burisma was paying Hunter and Joe Biden money for influence. Hunter was never convicted of anything regarding that, although he was convicted of other things. I'm saying those other things happened. This didn't.
Sure. Hello, Andrew Jack Daniels. You were speaking about the Hunter Biden pardon.
Yep.
And if memory serves me correctly, I recall that your side, the Democrats,
I'm not a Democrat.
claimed that
Try again.
this was a story that
Run
was
it back.
completely fictitious.
Run it back. Not a Democrat. Try again.
Well, whatever you are. It was your side, the libtards, that claimed that the Hunter Biden story was fabricated.
How could it? Sorry. How could it? I'm sorry. How could it be my side if you? How can you say I don't know what side you're on, but it's your side? How does that make sense? What if I'm a diehard Republican?
Clearly, you are part of the Trump derangement syndrome crowd.
How does that make sense? What have I said about Trump that's like not true?
Are you denying that you lean more towards the Democrat side?
Yes, I am denying that.
Okay. Well, in that case, I'll correct myself. Many libtards claimed that the Hunter Biden story was fabricated until the New York Times ran a piece basically admitting that it was true. And then you guys switched it up. So now you're saying that, Biden shouldn't have pardoned Hunter. Okay. So now you guys have switched the story and basically admitted that everything that was said about Hunter Biden was true.
What was alleged in the laptop story?
You didn't follow.
No, I'm asking you to summarize. I'm asking for you to summarize what was alleged in the laptop story.
You want me to recount the entire?
Just like what crimes would have come of it? Like what was alleged in there that he did that was criminal?
Well, sure. Are you aware of Burisma?
Yep.
Okay. So then you know that he was serving on a board that he had no business.
Yeah, in Burisma. Yep, sure.
Okay. And so, but this was something that was denied, right? You understand that?
That the laptop story was real?
Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of denial of it at first. Yeah.
Okay. So why was it called a wild conspiracy theory?
I don't know. I can't speak for the people that didn't believe it was true. I just want to know what crimes were alleged in that story.
So you want me to read you the list of charges? Okay, I can.
No, not the. Sorry. There seems to be a miscommunication. Not what he ended up eventually being actually charged for. You seem to be making some sort of connection between what he ended up getting charged with, the crimes that he had to face down, versus what was alleged in the laptop story. And I just want to know what crimes you believe were alleged in the laptop story. That's it.
Well, the laptops. I mean, within the laptop, there was many things. It wasn't even just the connections to Burisma. It was also the fact that he was a crack addict.
Mm-hmm.
You can find many photos of him on his laptop smoking crack with underage girls. Are you aware of that?
Yeah. I'm waiting. I'm so patient. I feel like I'm being pretty patient. I'm so patiently waiting. I'm just so patiently waiting for an answer to my question. There's no logical reason for me to answer any of your questions until you answer mine, right? You understand, surely.
Well, do you approve of that kind of behavior?
But surely there's no reason you would ever think I'm going to answer anything you have to ask if you refuse to answer the one question I've asked you since the start, right?
Well, I see that your refusal to answer the question is a concession, that you do approve of that.
So your refusal to answer my question is a concession that there actually was nothing alleged in that story.
Okay, so you admitted to being okay with Hunter Biden smoking crack with underage girls.
So you're admitting that he actually didn't do any crimes.
I have not admitted that. If you follow the flow of the conversation.
So can you tell me what crimes were alleged in the laptop story?
You want me to pull up the legal documents now?
No, not what he was initially. Why are you having such a hard time following? I don't care what he was eventually charged with.
You want me to be as specific as possible?
No,
or what?
No. It could be super broad, extraordinarily broad.
Oh, okay.
You could be like disgustingly broad. I don't need actual. Yeah, just tell me what was alleged that he did.
Money laundering, kickbacks. Are you aware of the Biden crime family?
Go ahead and keep answering this. Let's stay on this.
Stay on what?
On Hunter Biden, like what he did, what was alleged of him in the laptop story. Because you seem to you think it's a big deal that initially when the story was initially written, A lot of people thought it was just not real, right? And you think that that significantly plays into my opinion that the pardoning was corrupt. I don't understand. Basically, I'm just trying to get you to elaborate on where you think the connection is between.
Your question.
Okay, go ahead. Elaborate.
It was a money laundering operation. They were sending money over. Hunter was facilitating the transfer of money to Biden.
Okay, and that's what the story alleged.
10% for the big guy.
Okay. All right. Let me summarize real quick, and you tell me where I missed. Okay. So, the Hunter Biden laptop story was written. It came out. It alleged that there was this big bribery scheme where the Bidens were being bought off for something for using their influence in X, Y, or Z way, whatever way that Burisma wanted them to use it. And when that story was released, it was suppressed and people didn't believe it. And there was this whole outcry of like, it's fake, it's fake. That's what we got.
That is correct.
Okay. Now I only have one follow-up question. Given that, what do you have to say about the FBI informant that kicked all of this off being convicted of lying about it all?
Can you show me where that's the case?
Yes. All right. We got the indictment right here. Plaintiff v. Alexander Smirnov. So he was an FBI informant. We'll start right here. The defendant was admonished by the handler that he must provide truthful information to the FBI when he first became a CHS in 2010 and on multiple occasions thereafter, including but not limited, and then it just fucking rips a bunch of dates. In addition, when the defendant was authorized to engage in illegal activity for investigative purposes, he was further admonished that under no circumstances may the CHS participate in any act that constitutes obstruction of justice. Examples: perjury, witness tampering, witness intimidation, entrapment, or fabrication, alteration, or destruction of evidence, unless such illegal activity has been authorized. When the defendant was given this admonishment, he signed on an FBI form that contained this statement, including on a bunch more dates. Despite repeated admonishments that he must provide truthful information to the FBI and that he must not fabricate evidence, the defendant provided false derogatory information to the FBI about public official number 1, an elected official in the Obama-Biden administration, who left office in January 2017, and business person 1, the son of public official 1. That's Joe and Hunter. In 2020, after public official 1 became a candidate for presidency of the United States of America. As described in greater detail below, in March 2017, the defendant reported to the handler that he had a phone call with the owner of Ukrainian industrial conglomerate Burisma Holdings concerning Burisma's interest in acquiring a U.S. company and making an initial public offering on a U.S.-based stock exchange. In reporting that conversation to the handler, the defendant also noted that business person 1, public official number 1's son, was a member of Burisma's board, a fact that was publicly known. 3 years later, in June 2020, the defendant reported for the first time 2 meetings in 2015 and/or 2016 during the Obama-Biden administration, in which he claimed executives associated with Burisma, including Burisma official 1, admitted to him that they hired business person 1 to protect us through his dad from all kinds of problems, and later that they had specifically paid $5 million each to public official 1 and business person 1. When public official 1 was still in office, so that business person 1 will take care of all those issues through his dad, referring to a criminal investigation being conducted by the then Ukrainian prosecutor general into Burisma and deal with the then Ukrainian prosecutor general. The defendant also, all of this is just going to be what you saw in the laptop story, the allegations that there was corruption in Burisma. Let's scroll down to why they're actually charging him. Hold on.
What evidence did he present that was considered
memorialized in 2017? Super clear that right after this indictment came out, he pled guilty. The defendant message God damn it! This is a fucking grossly.
That does not prove that Hunter Biden and Burisma are free from corruption.
Sure. Okay. Let me ask you. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. That is an actual okay statement. Just because a person pled guilty doesn't mean that everything that they've said is untrue. I agree. I super agree. Then let me ask you this: the entire Burisma scandal, the investigation that followed, and everything, pretty much everything in the laptop story, except for the this guy is a fucking huge drug addict. That part of it was like super duper true. But everything else about the Burisma corruption stemmed from this guy's testimony, this confidential informant. If it is the case that he was charged with lying about it all, and then he pled guilty, what is more believable? Only on that basis. He was charged with lying, pled guilty to lying. On that basis, is it more likely that he was telling the truth the whole time and pled guilty for other reasons, or that he just was lying and pled guilty because he was caught?
He could have pled guilty because he could have been doing other things on the side that weren't legal. I don't know. That's kind of you could still be telling the truth about one thing and not be telling the truth about other
Sure.
things. I mean,
Sure, and we're not
that's
going to
the
get
performance of it.
because there was investigations into the Burisma stuff, and this is the only thing that turned up was like when this informant made these accusations, the FBI investigated the Burisma scandal, the whole thing, and this was actually all that really turned up from it was oh shit, this informant that got us onto this in the beginning was actually lying. So because there was an investigation, and this is what turned up was that the informant was lying. All I'm asking for is like a preponderance of the evidence standard analysis from you, like 50 or 51%. What do you think is 51% likely that he was lying about the accusations of Burisma corruption, or that he was actually telling the truth anyway? Just only what is more likely.
Didn't we just went over this stuff?
Well, you said he could still be telling the truth, and I agree with you. I completely still agree with you. I'm saying based only on the fact that he pled guilty to lying about it all, what is just more likely? Where are you leaning? Were you leaning more towards, okay, maybe he was lying, or are you leaning towards, no, I still think he was telling the truth?
I think coupled with outside evidence, aside from the informant's testimony, one could surmise that yes, he was telling the truth for the most part.
Okay, what outside evidence?
The entire case did not depend on a single informant.
Okay, why didn't Hunter Biden get charged then?
Well, what do you mean? He was the president's son.
But he was charged with other stuff. So he didn't get charged with this. So Biden wouldn't have let him get charged with this, but Biden let him get charged with other stuff.
I think that if Hunter Biden was charged with this, then it would have implicated plenty of other people in this corruption scheme. So it'd probably be easier for them to deal with the other charges than with this one. So
you don't think that the other charges hurt Joe Biden as well, like a lot? I think wasn't this all that was being talked about?
I think a corruption scandal with a clear money trail probably would hurt him far more.
But why didn't he just kill the if we've now established that Joe Biden is more than willing to sweep for his kid, why did he not just kill the investigation on the other? He specifically allowed the investigation to continue. He specifically said, no, don't drop the investigation. Go ahead, investigate him. I mean, why not just kill it?
That's like that's like when you guys say that the police department investigated itself and found no wrongdoing.
Well, but they did find wrong. Do you understand? Like Hunter Biden was charged. I'm saying, why didn't he? The investigation that led to him being charged. Why not just kill the investigation? You don't have to let that happen. Trump's killed a bunch of investigations into him. Why not kill this?
They had to make it believable. I mean, there were so many crimes being committed that if they just said, well, there's no wrongdoing whatsoever, then there'd be a huge scandal. So they had to make it believable, basically.
Okay, so just to summarize, your position is that an investigation that was started based on testimony from an informant that later came out saying he lied, that investigation into that corruption turned up no evidence. There is no further evidence. I don't know where you get this based on other outside evidence. There is none. Based on that, we can conclude that Joe Biden swept this under the rug so that Hunter would stay out of trouble for it and it wouldn't come back on him. But coming into office, knowing Hunter was being investigated for other things, lying on his gun background check and tax frauds, knowing that, he allowed that investigation to continue, allowed Hunter to be charged, allowed him to go to jail. Now, he did eventually pardon him in the end, which I think was bad, that he shouldn't have done that.
Well, pardon is an admission that that crime was committed.
Correct. Well, but he was also convicted, and it was the most obvious fucking shit in the universe. He clearly, super duper, ultra mega clearly did it. In fact, the fucker wrote a book admitting to the crime. So, yeah, he did it.
So what are you arguing about?
You're talking about, when you bring up the Hunter Biden laptop story, what you're talking about is the Burisma corruption scandal. The money, like the accusation that Burisma was paying Hunter and Joe Biden money for influence.
Do you know how much money
Hunter
he was making on that
was
board?
Never convicted of anything regarding that, although he was convicted of other things. I'm saying those other things happened. This didn't.
Sure. Tell me do you know how much money Hunter Biden was making sitting on that board, on that energy board?
How much?
You don't know, or
no? You tell me how much money he was making.
If I recall, it was about $10 million yearly. I don't know if that could be wrong. It's been a while since I read the number.
So
But do you
the
think
accusation was
do you
five.
think
The
that do you
accusation
think
was.
that you,
Don't ask me a question and then fucking give me a wrong answer and then
well,
not
I
let
wasn't
me
done
correct
I
you.
wasn't done
I don't
speaking.
give a fuck.
I
Don't
was
you're okay.
I
So
wasn't done.
I'm gonna step in and correct you when you're wrong. Okay, right? The accusation was that it was that they were paying out 10 million total, 5 to Joe, 5 to Hunter.
Okay, so there you go, 10 million. See, it's been a while since I don't remember the exact figure. That's what I said though, 10 million. Anyway, I don't know why you stopped me then. That's
Well,
kind of
because
the point.
Hunter wasn't getting paid
What
10
point were
million.
you
The
trying to make?
accusation was Hunter was getting paid 5 million. And the accusation was that there was an additional 5 million going off to Joseph.
Yeah, the big guy, right? Okay, so glad we cleared that up. Anyway, so do you think that he was qualified to be receiving that large sum of money?
No, I think 99% of people that sit on big companies' boards aren't qualified to be there.
That's not what I asked. I asked you,
Well,
is Hunter
what
Biden
was the first word
qualified?
of my answer?
Was Hunter
No,
Biden
when I
qualified to
responded,
be
what was
sitting
my
on that
first?
board?
What was the first word that I said in my response?
Okay, I mean, you can just repeat it. I guess I don't know what to tell you.
So, is it my fault you're not listening? Because the first word out of my mouth was no,
Okay, so you don't believe it. Okay, all right. So why was he there then?
because he was the son of Joe Biden.
Okay, so this is clearly a case of nepotism, right? So,
Well,
but you're saying
nepotism is when a person in power gives special favors to their children. The board of Burisma wanted Hunter Biden on it because at the time his dad was the vice president of the United States.
yeah, he got that job because of who his dad is.
Yep.
There you go. So it's clearly a case of nepotism. What are
I'm
you
just
arguing?
okay. I'm just waiting for the what about that is corrupt from Joe. I assume well, I guess
I mean,
guess
that's
I guess you never
corrupt. I
said
don't even
it.
know how. If you don't see how that's corrupt, I don't how
Well,
else should
so
I?
you never said it, so I guess I'm projecting an opinion onto you that you might not have. So let me ask. You think I mean you just said this. You do think that him just being there was corrupt. My question would be who engaged in the corrupt action? Who did a corrupt
If we
thing?
take if we take if we take that simple fact, and then you combine it with testimony and evidence that was gathered, I mean, I think it's pretty clear that it was a money laundering scheme.
Yeah, but so you'd have to then provide some evidence, right? But
No, I mean, all the people that have, I guess they've, time moves on. It's just like the JFK. They killed that guy and covered up their tracks, just like this with Burisma.
well, then, but there's there's this huge community that like investigates it. Now, I'm not saying I believe that like there's some conspiracy with JFK, but there's like evidence that people could put forth, right? They could say there's this huge community, yeah, that believes that there was something weird going on with JFK's assassination, and there's some evidence that they present. My contention is that you're making a claim without presenting any evidence. So I'd actually say the JFK assassination guys are better than you because at least they got something. What do you have evidence wise?
Well, how do I mean, you want me to start showing you documents and stuff like that? This would just take forever. I don't even have a way to do that with you right now.
Well, the primary motive evidence when the accusation was made was the testimony from an FBI informant, right? So that was we actually had evidence back then. It was like, oh shit, a fucking informant
you never established that all of his testimony was useless. I mean, that's.
Well, I mean, he admitted it was made up.
What did he admit specifically was made up? Did he say all of it was made up? And why did he do that?
Everything that wasn't a public fact. So the thing that was the parts that were totally true was that Hunter Biden was on the board of Burisma. Hunter Biden was on the board of Burisma because of who his dad was. But the fact that the idea that they were using the Bidens were using their power in order to help Burisma and then taking back end payouts for that party made up.
You think that was made up?
Well, the guy who made the claim said he made it up.
He can say anything he wants. I mean, I'm saying if you take in other facts along with those statements.
Yeah, and I totally agree. I agree that there could be other facts. All I'm asking you is what are those other facts?
Well, there's a clear money trail.
Where's the what was the money trail?
The $10 million for one.
Yeah, Hunter Biden was being paid money to be on that board. You understand? Like that's how that works. He was being paid money to be there.
For what exactly?
Because his He was the son of the vice
For his
president.
expertise.
99% of people that are on the advisory boards aren't there because they have anything to add intelligently. They are there because they're someone of note.
Okay, so we can both agree that he was there not because of any kind of expertise he may have had. He was there because of who his dad is.
Yes.
And knowing that, you would still say, well, there's no way that. Well, I don't know. Are you saying that? You're saying that there. Are you
No,
saying that
I'm not saying
no
there's
way
no way. I'm not saying there's no way there was nothing shady happening. What I'm saying is, what you would need to do for me to hop on board with this whole theory is have some sort of evidence that Joe Biden was using his power as the vice president at the time, and then later on as the president. You need to provide some evidence that he was using that power as directed by Burisma through his son to benefit them in exchange for money. There is no evidence of that.
Okay. I don't know. That's the thing. I'm not sure. I'd have to look at. I'd have to look into it and get back to you on that.
Sure, you should. You should do that. You should totally do. Instead of making wild accusations, you looking into it
I'm
should
not
be
making wild accusations.
Well,
I'm just
your accusation is that there was some sort of criminal activity going on here.
I think that you also somewhat agreed with me that in all likelihood that yes, there is some sort of.
I did not say in all likelihood. There's zero evidence that I've ever seen of that. There was evidence that I saw of it when this informant came out with these accusations, and I was like, oh shit. And then later he was like, yeah, I lied. And then I was like, oh damn, okay, nothing.
Okay, so you're saying because of the credibility of the informant, that's why you're doubting the accusation?
Not necessarily. Credibility is not the right word, because there could be people that there could be whistleblowers that have lied in the past, that literally have even been caught lying. That doesn't mean everything they ever say going forward is false. That just means you need to look at it with more intensity. There needs to be more than just what they say, because like, okay, well, this guy's lied in the past, so we need more than just what you're saying. So it doesn't mean I just throw it out wholesale. What I'm saying for this case is that he made an accusation, and then later he said that he lied about that accusation. So I would say, okay, well then none of it was true. Then if you're saying you lied,
okay, well we'll see. I'll have to come back in with some primary documents. Then we'll see what happens after that, because I don't have the legal case memorized.
Okay.